All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to yet again one of our amazing Q&A nights with Mr. Sam Castor and Mr. Steve Burns. And by the way, if you don't come on early for these calls, definitely come on early. We do have a lot of fun and chat about different things, but we didn't record that. So guess what? You'll never know. You'll never know what was said. So you got to come on earlier next time. But we do have a lot of fun. So if you are looking in the chat room wondering what people are talking about, that all happened before you joined. But tonight with the Q&A, usually we have great hosts with Christy. Steve, sometimes your son hosts this, right? And tonight you got the third string. The third string player stepped in with you guys. So I get to host and I get the honor of hanging out with you guys. I'm going to read a bunch of these questions, but if you are a guest, if you're a customer, maybe you're just learning about Alivea, you had questions, or if you're a social business partner and you want to ask a question, it can be about the company. It can be about the products. It can be about the science, whatever you'd like. Steve made it very clear. It's not about everything in the world. It does need to be somewhat Alivea connected, right, guys? And then you can post it in where you see on there's an area called chat. We don't want you posting questions there. Post the questions to the Q&A section. So you want to make sure you put it that area. So tonight we're going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to actually kick off the first question because I had this. We were doing some research on something and then somebody asked because they're looking at this other company and it said this company was a public benefits corporation. And I was able to say in front of all these people, that's exactly what Alivea is, a public benefits corporation. So first question is like there's LLCs, there's corporations, like what is a public benefits corporation and why did you set up your company as a public benefits corporation? Boom.
Good question.
Started off. There we go.
Love that question. Well, first of all, a public benefit corporation is a form of incorporation. I think it's in 35 states. Not every state has the public benefit corporation status. But what it does is it's really designed for social entrepreneurship. It's a business that's going to have a significant giving component attached to it. And so you register as a public benefit corporation. Part of the registration is you identify what your giving model is going to look like. And so for us, it's buy one, give one. Every time we sell any product, we match the number of servings in that product to the number of servings of Mighty Milk, which is the product that we provide children. And so anyway, when you set that up, first of all, it establishes that you are a giving company. Secondly, they have the right to audit you to protect that status. And so they can come in and say, are you living up to your registration's giving, component? And there are some tax advantages being a public benefit corporation that don't exist with other forms of corporations. Corporations, just like individuals, are limited in their giving. Limited meaning that if you pass a certain threshold, I think with corporations, it's 10% of your gross net profit. If you exceed that in your giving, then you're taxed on your giving. In other words, you only get a deduction for so much. With a public benefit corporation, particularly with the buy one, give one, we're allowed to post our giving, which is the give one side of the buy one, give one model, to our cost of goods because it's built right in to our financial sourcing figures. And so, so then we're unlimited in what we want to give. As long as we set it up front and we live up to that, then we're good. But that's kind of why it was set up, Craig, is to help establish that there are companies out there that are going to allocate a certain portion of their revenue to a giving model of some sort.
Yeah, I think that's great, and hopefully people enjoyed understanding that because I think it's a great thing to say, and it creates a lot of interest and intrigue because it is a kind of leading edge company on social business, and you have set up the company that way, so that's fantastic. Well, let's go to an interesting question from Leslie. Limitless comes in special packaging due to moisture. Does it affect the product if you put them in a weekly pill box? Ooh. I know I answered this one with, I have no idea. So I'll turn it to the experts.
Yeah, I'll take it, Sam. If it's an extremely hygroscopic product, in other words, if it's exposed to moisture, it hardens up real well. When that particular product is encapsulated in Arizona, in the Phoenix area, and it can't be done during our monsoon season. So there's 2 months a year that it can't even be done just because of the amount of moisture, even though it's in a climate controlled facility. And so we don't want it exposed for long periods of time, the bulk powder. In the capsule, in the pill container, it's going to be fine. The only reason we don't bottle that product at this point is because it has a tendency, the beetroot leaks out a little bit, and that red stains. I mean, the Native Americans 100 years ago or more used beetroot to dye things red. I mean, it actually permeates and stays in. So that's one of the reasons that we don't just bottle it. It's not just about the moisture. It's also about not having the powder get everywhere.
Yeah, we have been asked, Craig, to put it in bottles, and we are considering that. I mean, we've looked at it from every angle. Of course, Craig, you're probably the one that created the boxing of it to begin with. That came from years ago.
Long time ago.
It did. But yeah, I mean, we get requests to put in bottles. It appears to be more convenient for people than having to take out and then put it in their pill container and things like that. We do take the powder and we put it in to one of the products that's in our Optimize, product in our packets. And so, yeah. It's something I think we're always looking at is what is the most convenient way to package everything that we do. And so, yeah, jury's still out. But Steve's right. There are some issues with packaging that way. But I think that was really an original design for a purpose that I'm not even familiar with. But at this point, yeah, we're looking at all options.
Nice. Well, and I think, what's interesting, of course, with Limitless, you added Ace Mannan, and Ace Mannan is kind of the cornerstone of this entire company. Immune is our number one selling product. But, we're doing more and more around educating that is the cornerstone of everything. And I love this question because it's something about we don't bring up probably enough is talking about your skin, right? And we have a product with Ace Mannan for your skin, your largest organism. See, Steve, I do pay attention to some of these calls and I do learn things like that. And somebody's asking about turkey neck, which I have no clue what that is.
No.
What are the chances Aloe Glow can help with that? Oh, there you go. You got it right there. Perfect.
I got it. Yeah. So, of course, what Ace Mannan does is that triggers the response of immune cells like macrophages. But macrophages also come to the surface. And that's why, like on open wounds, Ace Mannan was approved. And that's why we put it in soup, is because you can optimize the macrophage's response to whatever that wounding is. It could be a sunburn, could be a bug bite, could be some sort of a cut or whatever. So if it facilitates faster healing. Ace Mannan also activates fibroblasts. And fibroblasts are other immune cells that live in your skin. And what they're responsible for doing is producing collagen. They're responsible for producing hyaluronic acid, which is the polysaccharide that holds the moisture and gives your skin texture. And so if you can activate those white blood cells, then you get better, more youthful looking skin. So yeah, putting Ace Mannan in skincare is very good.
And as far as the turkey neck goes, it's not designed to specifically tighten your skin up like that. There are different products out there that actually cause an agitation to the skin, and it actually causes things to plump up because it's a slight inflammatory effect on the skin. There's nothing in this product that does that. As Sam said, it's triggering your skin, your skin's elasticity, allowing for just a better, more youthful looking skin. Turkey neck, you might have to go to a plastic surgeon for that. Sorry.
Now I just realized what you're talking about with turkey neck. Okay, it took me a second there, but I'm now caught up to speed with what you're saying there. But you want to provide health for your skin, so it makes so much
Sure.
sense with the Aloe Glow, and which we love. We use it all the time. Steve, this is one that you probably get every day, 1,000 times a day, where everybody's asking, "What about this issue? What about this problem?" And somebody here is asking about Nancy, who we all know and love, asking about Nancy. We have a lot of Nancys, but this one is Nancy up in, are they in Portland,
Yeah.
Washington area?
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Tomorrow.
she's asking about gout. I'm sure you've heard that before. And then I think to follow up that, somebody else is saying they have a question around somebody who's on a lot of different products and has calcium going to their muscles and eyes, but not their bones. Would any of our products help, and what would you recommend and how much? So how would you answer those two questions?
So let's start with the first one, gout. Gout's a buildup of uric acid and uric acid crystals that happen to go into the joints. Hydration is very important when it comes to that, flushing these things out. Somebody would have to start changing their diet, altering their diet a little bit. Core is amazing for helping us all straighten out our gut. It is the advanced gut support health that we proclaim it is. And as we do that, it allows for nutrients to get better in and out of our intestinal walls into the bloodstream. It helps us to flush out toxins. It has a lot of properties. Our immune system needs to be able to bind to those things and get that acid out of the body. There are other natural things you can do, tart cherries and things like that, that help to flush that out. But you really need to keep track of the foods you eat. You need to go on what's known as a purine diet. You need to avoid those foods high in something called purine that has a tendency to trigger that uric acid. And of course, we're not medical doctors. We just have a lot of experience working with a lot of people in different conditions for many years. But then what was the other one besides gout?
Oh, they tied into calcium. Somebody has a friend or customer taking numerous different products and has calcium going to their muscles and eyes, but not their bones. What products would you recommend from an Alivea perspective, and how much?
Well, again, diet plays a big role in that. When you are taking a lot of carbonated products in, sodas, things like that, you actually leach calcium out of your bones. In order to get calcium in the bones, first of all, you need to make sure everything's working. We make a lot of our immune system is found in our bones. Supporting the immune system with ACE mannan is going to help on some level. Balance is something, believe it or not, when it comes to hormone regulation, that has a lot to do with that. So we've seen studies on diostronin and other ingredients that are in balance and how they work to help somebody slow down the progression of how they help somebody's body to help slow down the progression of osteoporosis and issues like that. So again, our supplements aren't intended to treat, cure, or mitigate disease. They help the human physiology along and fill in the gaps so that our bodies are able to do what they're supposed to do.
Nice. And to follow that up, because you talked about core, and I read a great article this week. A woman turned 117. I think she might have been the oldest woman, and I think it was a Canadian website, but they talked about what was that magic for a long life, and they talked the whole article was around your gut health and how critical gut health is, and like literally it could have been written for Alivea, and from a core perspective and immune perspective. So somebody's asking here about taking core. Says I heard it suggested to take 2 core once a day for a week just to help really reset the gut health. Is it best to spread them out throughout the day or do it all at the same time?
Personally, I would spread them out. Sam and I both did 2 a day for the first 28 days after it was released. We didn't even do just a week. I did 28 days, and I still sometimes will do 2 in a day. Sam?
Yeah, yeah. I think, Craig, one of the things that is missing in most diets, of course, we know what good nutrition is all about. That's why we put the whole food source vitamins and minerals. We know that a healthy immune system and reducing inflammation, all those are very important for gut health. The thing that really goes unnoticed most of the time is soluble fiber. And I mean, the statistics are that 90% of the people in this country don't get enough soluble fiber in their diet. And why is that important? Because soluble fiber gets fermented in the gut, which helps your body produce friendly bacteria. So there's a condition called dysbiosis, which is the result of one of two things, or in some cases, both. Number one, a bad ratio of good to bad bacteria. You need some bacteria because that's what fights pathogens that come in to your gut. But 85% good to 15% bad, they say, is a healthy ratio. Well, if you get really far off of that, that's dysbiosis. The other factor is diversity. You got 1,000 different strains of bacteria in your gut. And so how does your gut know which ones to make? Well, your gut knows your microbiome. It's unique to you and will produce the diversity in the right ratio that it needs to be. So taking a probiotic for something other than sort of a therapeutic dose for something for a short amount of time is not a good strategy for trying to protect good gut health, because you might get 1 or 5 or 10 species, and you got 1,000 in your gut, and there's only so much room. So when something comes in a high dosage, something has to go out. The other thing is that the byproduct of soluble fiber fermenting and producing friendly bacteria is the production of short-chain fatty acids. Just Google that sometime. Butyrate. It may be the most important chemical in the human body. It's the only thing the cells that line your gut can consume for fuel. It's absolutely necessary for proper repair of the gut lining. It's essential for the repair of mitochondria, which produce the energy of the cells. So short-chain fatty acids are critical, and they only come from one process, the fermentation of good fiber. So when you shortcut that with the probiotic, you just leave out that step. And yeah, you might add some probiotic, but it's not in the right diversity ratio. And you're leaving out the step of the production of short-chain fatty acids. So what we did is, first of all, when you study prebiotic fiber, there's a lot of different kinds. Inulin is probably the most common. It's pretty cheap. But some of ours, because of the structure of the polysaccharides containing these unique sugars that we put in ours, like xylo-oligosaccharides, turn out to be 3 to 7 times more effective at producing friendly bacteria than the most common forms of soluble fiber. So really, what we put in here from a fiber standpoint is far and away the best that you can find in the industry, which gives you enough to keep an ample supply of friendly bacteria in the production line all the time. So it really is a critical piece of the gut health equation. We don't talk a lot about it, but hey, that's why we put them in there.
Nice. Well, I think Core has showed up to be one of our absolute best sellers, and you can see why everybody loves Core. There will not be a day that I miss my Core and OptiPack and Immune, so I love to stock up on it. Here's a question which is going down the path of a new product that was just announced in Dallas. It's going to be launched in June. We officially not announced the name Alivea Edge, and Tracy is asking, the difference between Fuel and Edge. And I think part of that explanation is that there are 2 different categories. There's energy products and then there's hydration products, and they aren't the same. They are slightly different, but they're 2 obviously very emerging and huge industries. But Sam or Steve, do you want to jump into that, or Sam, or who would like to tackle that question?
No, Steve.
Okay. See, I got volunteered. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So as far as these products go, they can actually be combined. You can do fuel if you're about to train, if you want a clean energy workout, if you want the additional muscle support. It has branched chain amino acids in there, specifically 4 that are there to protect and help build muscle. You want to focus and endurance. It's got some caffeine in there. And then you also want the ATP, adenosine triphosphate optimization of the Elevate ATP in there. You're going to choose Edge. Edge is a new category altogether of hydration. It is a super hydrating electrolyte product. If you sweat heavily, you're going to want to choose Edge. If you maybe work outdoors in the summertime, not in Arizona where it's a dry heat, but in other places where you're perspiring quite a bit, and you could be doing work around yard, not just a job, or you work in high heat. Maybe you're somebody that works in a very hot environment. You could be a hot yoga instructor, something like that. You need a lot of electrolyte replenishment because you're sweating pretty heavily. You want hydration without stimulants, even though there's only 82 milligrams of caffeine from green tea in fuel. Some people just don't want that. If you're recovering from a lot of activity, a heavy workout, this is anything from amateur college athlete, high school athlete, and up, all the way to professional athletes. This is an ideal choice. And if you want all day hydration support, it is formulated in such a way that you could have 2 to 3 of these a day. 2 of these is like an average person eating a bowl of chicken noodle soup from Chick-fil-A. That's about the same amount of sodium that's in there. So, people say, oh, I don't want to overdo the sodium. Well, some of these products in the marketplace, Craig, have 1,000 milligrams of sodium. You do a couple of those in a day, and now you're at 2,000 milligrams. Now you're at the upper threshold of what is the recommended amount for sodium. Well, with Edge, you're going to be able, if you're playing in a tournament, whether it's golf, pickleball, or paddle, who we partnered up with proudly, the USA Paddle and Red Paddle. Craig, you put that together yourself. So that is a great product to have during those times. It can be before, during, or after, but it's going to be really good for recovery, as to where fuel is just a little bit of a different product.
Yeah, and Craig, I think one of the things that's really exciting about this product, I know I've talked with you about it, and I think I might have mentioned it even at the event. But the manufacturer that's making this product for us, the guy that runs that manufacturing, has been in sports nutrition all his life. He has seen everything come and go. And so he was asking us about this formula. And we pulled out the data on ACE Manning's effect on the immune system and how the immune system affects these channels in every cell called aquaporins. And that's what allows the moisture in and the moisture out. So your cell gets cleansed, it's got to come out. Your cell needs to be balanced. Water sometimes has to come in, and it's got to come in quickly. And that's what aquaporins do. They're managed by your immune cells. And the very immune cells that are necessary to manage that regulation of water are the ones that are triggered by ACE Manning. So we showed him that science and that data, and he said, oh my gosh. He said, this is the best story I have heard in sport nutrition in decades. He goes, there's just nothing new under the sun out there. There's repackaged and relabeled everything, but this is truly new, significant science. So he said, look, I manufacture it, but do you mind if I get involved in helping introduce you to organizations that I know of that would just be all over this if they understood what it was. So I'm excited about the potential of this product because I think it really is sort of the next generation of hydration drinks. You have everything else out there that's basically on one level, and then you've got us, which is above it. And that's, there's different things in this formula, but boy, the effect of ACE mannan on hydration, there's such good science around it now that it really does distinguish this technology.
Well, it's exciting because I mean, people love the taste, the packaging. We are partnered with one of the fastest growing sports and sporting organization right at the core level, which is very exciting. We're actually going to launch the product at a major tournament here, so everybody stay tuned. We'll do more on that. But of course, I know there's even more and probably even bigger and more exciting products coming out. Tell us all about that. No, I'm kidding. I know you can't do that on this Q&A. But okay, Sam, this one's for you. This goes right into what is your favorite book you would recommend about preparing a mindset for introducing folks to what we do?
A mindset for doing, I liked, and I gave it away at the event. I love the Muhammad Yunus book, Banker to the Poor. Muhammad Yunus was the guy in Bangladesh that started the Grameen Bank and the whole concept of microfinance. But his reasoning behind it and how he put it all together is a fascinating story. But if you're leveraging, sort of your role in the movement, now this is not about the specific products, but just why are you associated with the movement? Because you want your life's work to account for more than just a paycheck. And that's what Muhammad Yunus was talking about, who's been basically labeled the creator of social entrepreneurship, because he saw it to really make a dent in global problems. You need a for-profit entity to drive that. It's usually left to not-for-profit organizations to do that type of work, but they don't have any funding. And so Banker to the Poor was it's a phenomenal read. And I don't know that I understood the question exactly. I don't know if I answered it the way that.
I think you answered it perfectly. And that is a superb book to put out there, because I think that is part of what, especially for those that are social business partners that want to share this. One is learning about the products, but we have experts that can do that. We have videos that can do that. To be really proud and understand the power of social business, we get to walk with our shoulders back in a different way of really understanding that. So I think that's great. I think this is a great question, Steve. Mickey's throwing a curveball at us here. I understand the closest airport to Branson is Springfield. How far is that Branson? How far is that from Branson, and what's the best way to get there? So there's some people on this call that missed the beginning and they're like, wait, why are we talking about Branson?
Yeah, it's 1 hour and 4 minutes away. And you're going to take Highway 65 straight down to Branson from there.
Did you just make that up?
No.
Oh, okay. I said at the beginning, you guys would win at Jeopardy if there was a question on that. So you just proved my point, Steve.
What is 1 hour? What is 1 hour and 4 minutes?
That's the way to, answer it in the form of a question. I like that. Somebody did ask here, Nancy did a follow-up, anything for healthy cholesterol levels? Do we have anything in the world of aloe vera that's for cholesterol?
Absolutely. Sam, why don't you touch on that with Omegas 4?
Well, I mean, Omegas is our Omega product, which is our essential fatty acid technology. And I'm not going to go specifically into cholesterol with this. I'm just going to explain why it's so unique. We take the cleanest fish oil in the world. It comes from Norway. And instead of refining it and breaking apart its structure, which now is linked to AFib and things like that, we leave it in its natural state and put it in cyclodextrin. And cyclodextrin is a cone-like substance that makes the body see it as a carbohydrate, which means it's highly bioavailable. So you get a lot of fish oil into your system that is very difficult to do without it. Any kind of a fat, whether it's hemp oil or omega oil, fish oil, whatever, just very hard for the body to absorb. So you waste most of it. I think the bioavailability of fish oil is only 12%. I think hemp oil was only 5%, if I remember right. So yeah, you get the fish oil in its natural state in the most bioavailable form.
I would challenge anyone who has blood work done on a regular basis to try the Omega-4 product, support their body with that particular product for at least 4 to 6 weeks, and then get your blood test again. We have had so many people come to us and say it's day and night versus what it was before. And are you willing to talk to my doctor about this? And we, of course, always are willing to speak with healthcare professionals because we know what influencers they can be to people that they're working with. They may not be able to prescribe nutritional supplements, but they can recommend supporting the body with a healthier product, not necessarily naming the product, but they could say, you want to take an Omega's product, and I heard of a good one, and maybe somebody passes somebody a note, but Omega-4 is different than anything else in the marketplace.
Nice. Well, talking about different in the marketplace, this actually feels like it leads into this question great by an anonymous attendee who asked the question, what makes Alivea Immune just better than anything else out there? There's other Ace Mannin, there's other aloe products out there. They named a couple companies, but what makes Alivea Immune better? I know some people have heard this in detail. We have a lot of brand new people who don't understand that and don't understand what's behind the core of our entire company.
Well, the first time that Ace Mannin was stabilized was by a company called Carrington Laboratories. They were a pharmaceutical company. And they used an alcohol precipitation process to isolate and stabilize the Ace Mannin. So for the very first time, you had stabilized Ace Mannin. Ace Mannin is a polysaccharide that exists in a very broad range of molecular weights. And what that means is there's short chain, medium chain, long chains of these beta mannans. So it's a mannose molecule. Mannose is a sugar. And beta is just the bonding. It's a beta bonding. So it's a acetylated beta bonded mannan. Anyway, so there's a broad range of them. And when you consumed that first generation product, if you did it in a high enough dose, you saw a pretty profound immune response. And it really didn't matter what your health issue was. It just optimized your immune system's response to whatever you were dealing with. I mean, that was the beauty of Ace Mannin. In fact, the first use patent that was issued by the U.S. Patent Office said Ace Mannin is shown to be effective in the treatment of conditions that require immune system intervention for their resolution, which of course is every condition. So there's nothing that a better functioning immune system can't help your body heal. It's the one thing that pharmaceutical companies have never, or medicine has never been able to do, is replicate the capacity of the human body to heal itself. Okay, now they realized way back then that not all these molecular weights could bind and activate the immune system cells. They just didn't know which ones they were. And they knew the real small ones could go straight to the bloodstream, the real big ones that looked like were being used as soluble fiber in the production of short chain fatty acids. Somewhere between the real long ones and the real short ones was sort of the sweet spot. But nobody really knew what it was, so they just stabilized it all. And if you took enough of it, you got the response. And so the gentleman that was the CEO of the company that made that product, it was a wholly owned subsidiary of Carrington Labs, was Dr. Santiago Rodriguez. So he made that first generation product, and he made products for veterinary medicine. He made injectable forms of Ace Mannin that were approved for the treatment of leukemia and different types of cancers in animals. He made skincare, wound care technologies. He did everything with Ace Mannin. Okay, so Santiago went into business for himself maybe 15 years later, and a brand new set of research came out from a group of scientists in South Korea. They basically broke down Ace Mannin into these various sized increments from very small to very large to see where the sweet spot was. And they defined it, and they published that in a journal of immunology. And when Santiago read that, he went back into the lab and he said, I think I can improve the efficacy by focusing on those particular molecular weights. And what he came out with is his first generation was about 3 times more of those fractions per gram in his first generation. And then when Steve and I met with him, we said, we need something actually better than that. For the kids, for mana relief, because, every penny counts. And so the best value we can provide them makes a big difference. And secondly, we want our own unique product. And he said, give me a little bit of time to work on it, and came back and he had something that was 4.5 to 5 times more immune optimizing fractions as defined by the study that defined that. And that's what we have the exclusive rights to. So we have an Ace Mannan that has the highest level of immune optimizing fractions of Ace Mannan by far, which means that if you're getting 400 milligrams a day, you're getting the equivalent of 1,000 milligrams of somebody else's product. And by the way, there's only about 3 companies in the entire industry, maybe 4, that standardize Ace Mannan, stabilize and standardize it. So it's not like it's everywhere. But there's a lot of distributors out there in various companies, and they may have access to one of those other technologies. But just rest assured, and we've got the science to prove that our Ace Mannan, again, is heads above everybody else's in terms of those molecular weight structures that cause the immune response, which is why people take it.
I love it. And I think ours nourishes children as well. It's a beautiful side effect.
That's the icing on the cake to that story is that every time you make the decision to nourish yourself or improve your own quality of life, someone in your family, because of our buy one, give one model, we'll get to do the same thing for a child in need, who, by the way, would never get access to this technology unless we were doing this. I think the largest children's charity organization is UNICEF. I think they touched 1.3 million children last year with synthetic vitamins, like vitamin E and vitamin A. But to give Ace Mannan, it's like mega times more important to these children. And so, again, nobody could afford to buy it. And we build it right into our social entrepreneur model so we can, and so far so good, Craig, 66 million and counting.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? And, a follow-up on that, you guys just made the announcement in Dallas that, because we've always had our, Ace Mannan, our Alivea AE is in all of the products, but the core product being immune has always been in a capsule form, but we just announced it's going to be sold in a powder form because there's a lot of people that like to take more than just, being able to take capsules. Somebody asked, when is that going to be available?
Probably around the same time that the other product is coming out, the Edge, in that same time frame, early June. Yeah. Again, we have to buy bottles, make labels, get stuff printed, all of that, get Ace Mannan made and sent. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that product because what we've learned, I mean, we've known this over the years, but what we continue to learn is that there's a dose response to Ace Mannan. And when people start taking Ace Mannan who have chronic conditions, their immune systems are already tremendously compromised. That's why they're sick. Otherwise, they'd be healthy. And so, depending upon the type of condition and so many variables, what they eat every day, do they exercise, are they around a lot of toxicity, is there a lot of stress in their lives? Those are all factors. But we found that taking more, there is a dose response. And it's not placebo. I think on the Ace Mannan 101 presentation, I showed a study that was done on laboratory mice and by infecting them with a lethal dose of influenza virus. So there's no placebo in this. They don't know anything, right? So they give them a lethal dose of influenza, the control group, and of course they all die because it's a lethal dose. The next group, they give a lethal dose and 20 milligrams a day of Ace Mannan. 50% of the mice lived because their immune systems had the capacity to fight off a lethal dose of the virus. I mean, that's crazy. And then just to see what kind of dose response, they doubled it, gave the next group the same lethal dose and 40 milligrams a day, and over 70% of the mice lived. So we know from the research that we've done over the years and then the research on animals that there is definitely a dose response to acemannan. And we want to give people the ability to use as much as they want as conveniently as possible. The other thing about the powder, Craig, is we always get asked, what about my pets? They won't swallow pills. So they're pulling these things apart and dumping them. And what about my small children? And this just makes it easy from a dose response, from providing product to your pets and or to your children and or everybody else. Just a very convenient way and a more economical way. We can give, I think the pricing is going to be the same price as 2 large bottles of Immune with acemannan that's about 2.5 large bottles worth for exactly the same price because we don't have to encapsulate product, which is a cost. So we just pass that savings right along and everybody gets a better value.
Well, I know people are thrilled and excited for that. And Steve, I know you're going to follow up with that, but also add into that, Steve, because you did a whole bunch of, on Friday night, you had people coming up for a couple hours telling stories about how their lives have been changed. And so as you follow up that question, also answer Stephanie's question about, sometimes people just, because people do hear stories where the products changed their life right away, right? Very quickly. Mindy tried a product at an event. She felt it right away and literally wrote a book, which I've got beside me, how it changed her life. But for other people, it doesn't happen that fast. It takes time. Oh, you've got it right there. Look at that. Suffering never silences calling. I love it. So
if Mindy's on the call, I'm reading your book. It's great.
Oh, that's so cool. So Steve, maybe as you follow up to what Sam was talking about there, but could you also share a little bit about having customers who think changes happen overnight? Oh, hold on a second. If you guys are going to do that.
Yeah. See,
there we go. Shall we all do it? I mean, this is like the biggest plug ever.
Mindy is not sponsoring this call. So free plug there. So, which is great because I've just started it myself. So as far as we're doing small tubs and people have said, why aren't you doing a big tub? Well, we have to make sure moisture stays out because again, that product can clump up and you can break it up. It's not about, it's no good anymore if it gets a little bit hard. It's just we had to come up with that particular, what can we do that will work? And so Sam experimented himself with his family about opening and closing that small jar in Texas and seeing what we could get away with. So we're super excited about that because it is easier than opening capsules. And some people have digestive issues. They're on lots of medications and things. Again, there are no known drug interactions with acemannan and pharmaceuticals, so that's a good thing. It is a functional food, essentially. And so people are going to be able to do this without having to swallow the capsules. The cellulose does dissolve under normal circumstances. But if you're under pharmaceuticals that mess up your stomach or maybe you're not down the road far enough with core and you've got issues and you've been on different prescriptions, you've had trouble with those capsules. This is going to get rid of that problem as well. And somebody had posted a little while ago about they came up to somebody and they said, well, I've never heard of acemannan. So my question back when somebody says that is, have you heard of aloe vera? Yeah, you've heard of a lot of good things and what it's been used for, all different things. Yeah, that's the active molecule that's in aloe vera. That's usually how I answer that. It's a quick response. What was the other question, Craig? I'm sorry.
Oh, just about, sometimes people think like it's going to happen immediately for them, but sometimes it can take time.
So this is the same with any supplement, really. Years of Limitless, years before Sam and I even came along and started working with you, Craig, you had Limitless out there, you and your lovely wife, Dr. Ann Smith, and you were sharing that with people, and other people on this Zoom were sharing that with people. And some people would take 1 or 2 capsules and notice, this discomfort is gone. while other people, it took a while. The average, according to the published studies, were 10 days that it took for some people, but some people felt it within that first hour. It's bioavailability. It's not that the product isn't bioavailable, it's that your body isn't taking it in and able to utilize it. Maybe you are having gut challenges. Maybe there are issues like that. We have people that have amazing results with 2 capsules of Immune, as to where others and researchers like Dr. Renee Hurdy recommend copious amounts, because as Sam said, that study that was published on the lab rats with influenza, it was a dose response. And as they gave an increased amount, the animals did better. Some of that is bioavailability, but everybody's a little bit different. And so you know, how much is enough? Well, when you start seeing a response, you're obviously getting to that number where you need to be. But as different as we are biologically, overall, we have the same anatomy, but biologically, we're all very, very different. And we have to get these products into us. And, you know, fortunately, they're food, and you can experiment to see how it's going to work and what best benefits you. And then we have a lot of people that are able over time to cut back. They're able to cut back and get the same response. Why? Because their gut's functioning properly, because their immune system's functioning better, because their inflammatory markers have come down. All of those things are related to how the products work in the body.
I love that. I love that. A great reminder too. It's a food-based product, right? It's a food-based technology here. I know we're coming up to the hour. I think you guys do these for about an hour. Time flies when you're getting a gazillion questions and listening to you guys answer them. But I'll do a couple rapid ones. Is there a product to increase iron levels?
Steve?
Okay. First of all, yes and no. So it's interesting that we have ferritin and iron in our body that is free in the digestive tract that we want to get out. Core can help bind to that. There's something called modified citrus pectin that helps bind that free iron and take it out. We do need a certain amount of iron, but that can be achieved through other dietary sources. We don't want to do it because the only effective way to do it right now is through rocks and dirt, like mined iron. You can get it through blackstrap molasses. You can get it by eating beef. They used to eat liver in the old times, but I worry about liver is an organ that holds toxins very well. It's our master filtration organ. And in today's environment, with the way that most commercial cows are grown, you'd have to be very picky about your liver source and your onion source. If you're doing liver and onions, that was the old time thing that they did for iron deficiency back in the day. But with our products, we are very limited on that. We do have some in Vitality in its natural state, which is a good way to get it in. But if you're iron deficient, if you're anemic, it's interesting. We've seen people with anemia challenges that were working to get their iron levels up and having trouble when they got on our products and started getting their systems back working. They supported their body properly. Their body was better able to absorb the iron from the foods and the supplements that they were taking specifically for iron.
Wow. Awesome. Well, that is amazing. I know we have a whole lot of questions that we haven't gone to, but I know there's a question at the beginning, Sam, and you guys can decide if you'll do, this could be our last one, and you can decide if you want one more after this. But Sam, this goes to a totally different area. You did a special talk around how we reward people, how Alivea compensates people to share this mission and share the products. And it's quite unique. And they're asking, will this recording be posted? Will you do another talk on this? So anything you want to share about that special talk you did?
Yeah, I mean, what the talk was about is how do you design a compensation plan for a social entrepreneur organization movement like what we've got. And there's a lot to unpack in that. I'm not going to try to do it on this call. But there was no traditional plan that accomplished our goal. You kind of have the network marketing plans, which most of us were familiar with, that really rewarded individuals for organizational growth. But customer acquisition was not necessarily something those plans really addressed very effectively. And then you have the affiliate type marketing programs out there that were much better for customer acquisition and retention. Some of them not so much. But there was nothing for team building. In other words, there was no reward in those plans for training people on how to become an affiliate or a micro influencer or even an effective social business partner. And so we kind of had to tear the whole thing apart and say, what are we really trying to achieve? First and foremost, we're trying to find customers. And so we should reward people appropriately for that. Secondly, 3.0, social entrepreneurship, is defined as building teams and teams of teams for the rapid circulation of new technologies that can change the world. So we had to address that too. And so our plan, there's nothing like it in the industry. And it's like taking the food pyramid and turning it upside down. That's kind of like what we did to compensation. We turned it upside down and said, let's make it fit. Let's design something to fit our model rather than try to force our model into some of those existing plans. Anyway, we'll do a Monday night call on that, kind of go through it. I think we did record it, and we'll get either that or we'll do it again.
Yeah, and I talked to Will. We are getting that out, and we're going to be developing some new videos to really build and share that, because it is so unique and it's so spectacular in alignment with making a movement and changing the world. Steve, I know I know we're going to wrap up here. Are we going to hold people in their seats to understand why grass-fed New Zealand cows is significant or not? Is that next Q&A, or is that the wrap up of this call?
No, I'll answer that. That's fine. We started a little late, so I'll go ahead and answer that. People say, why is it you say New Zealand grass-fed cows? Why is that important? Why can't it be U.S. or Canadian grass-fed cows? Well, there is a reason for that. In New Zealand, their agricultural practices, they don't use pesticides. They don't use Bovet. Bovet is something that they give cows. It's an enzyme inhibitor, so they don't produce a lot of methane. It's not that it's necessarily dangerous, but they just don't put any of that stuff in. We don't have to worry about finding the right organic certified grass-fed U.S. milk. It's that they're already doing that practice over there, making sure that it's as clean as possible. So that's where our colostrum comes from. That is where our grass-fed milk powder comes from. That is in core. Our collagen comes from that as well. So that's the significance. It's making sure no hormones, steroids, antibiotics, pesticides, or contaminants in any way come in. Yes, our COAs ensure that, but it's just easier to do it that way. We already know the COA is going to line up because it's just not practiced over there any other way.
I love it. And by the way, you got validation from Down Under live on this call. Chris Gregory jumps in and said, New Zealand's one of the cleanest farming countries in the world. He should know. He can just look over the water and see them. So Steve, then really quickly, last question. Previous Orange Fusion and the new Orange Focus, what is the difference? They're two oranges, but they're very different.
Yeah, so it's interesting. When we started with Focus, working with Dr. Robert Hackman, head of nutrition, or one of the heads of nutrition at UC Davis, on that product line, we were adding food-based vitamins and minerals in there. The food-based vitamin and mineral manufacturer we were using was a victim of COVID. They went out of business as a result of that and supply chain issues. And so we looked at what we were doing before Fruit Punch came out, and we said, the reality is we believe in nourishing the body through food-based vitamins and minerals. That's why vitality is so important. And it's still okay to have isolates to elicit specific physiological responses. And that is why people take Focus. They take it to stimulate neurotransmitter production, to have the B vitamins that are water soluble and will flush out of the system to give you that energy and the mental focus. So we said we don't necessarily need that. Orange Fusion had that. We can't even get that anymore. So we looked at just making it Orange Focus. Well, then the demand for caffeine free was there. So the two differences are it doesn't have the food-based vitamins and minerals. It is a strictly orange flavor where we had to use a little bit of mango flavor in the Orange Fusion, hence the name Orange Fusion, to cover up the vitamin and mineral nasty taste. We don't have to do that. We've got a tangerine orange. Just everybody just raves about the flavor of the caffeine-free orange. I think when I was on stage at Impact, I asked how many people don't like the taste, and like 2 people raised their hands, and I told them to get out. So that's, and I was joking, of course, but you know, everything isn't going to appease everybody, but overall, hands down, we are getting rave reviews on the orange caffeine-free flavor. And again, it doesn't have caffeine, doesn't have those food-based vitamins, minerals, but what it does have is everything you are looking for in our Focus drink mixes.
Oh, I love what Shirley just said. I don't even like orange, and I like this. You got to love when people say that. So, hey, by the way, this Thursday at a unique time, 4 p.m. Central, we're going to do a special Alivea Pros with the launch of the new Alivea Edge. We're going to do a special training that's for coaches, trainers, athletes, healthcare professionals, but it's open to all social business partners. We will record it. It's at 4 p.m. Central at alivea.live. Sam, last word to you. Anything you'd like to wrap up today's call with?
No, it's just been a great evening. Thanks for all your questions. Love these calls. We'll do it again.
Awesome. Excellent, everyone. Hope you had a great evening. So much fun. Thank you for the call that was sponsored by Mindy. That was a joke. Because I realized I'm wearing her shirt too. So not her shirt. She sent us this shirt, but that is hilarious that all happened at the same time. So hope everybody had a great night. Thank you all for the great questions. Steve and Sam, you guys are amazing. Good night, everyone.
See you guys.
Thanks.